Howdy, y'all. It's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin in Tucson, Arizona. Thanks for joining me today for a reveal from CAC of GSA. So that's a whole lot of abbreviations for everyone there. But we sent a group of GSA Morgan silver dollars off to CAC to get certified. So they're going to remain in these holders with a strap around the case showing what grade they assigned to each coin. You can play along at home and see how you do. And I do not have a time machine just yet to be able to go back in time and understand why the reverse of Morgan silver dollars are always so tremendous in comparison to the obverse. Here we go with a coin that has really nice looking fields, especially behind Morgan, the Morgan dollar head. Obviously her name isn't Morgan, but sometimes, we slip up and say things like that. One of my favorite things about the GSA hoard is it gives you a chance to look at what original surfaces should look like. This has super nice original skin across the cheek, and then you'll see all the chatter marks there. A little distracting, but really brilliant coin. Mint state 63. Is that what you guessed? Maybe. I'll try to keep in mind some of the prices on stuff like this. Your common date GSAs, so that's going to be the 82, 83, and 84 in kind of average 63 condition, in that 350 ballpark, more or less. Here we come at you with another 1882, kind of a different look, right? So you have a cheek that actually is a little cleaner, but the marks are spread out more. You have a few more hit marks on the back side of the coin, backside behind the head. And a reverse that I think is just as pleasing. Also, you'll see the roller marks coming across the coin at that angle, especially if you see all these vertical lines that are going horizontally. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, so those guys there are, once again, like I said, having a GSA helps you understand what something looks like when it happens to a coin before it leaves the mint versus after. All those lines right there happen in the making of the die, of the planchet. I'm going to go get some more coffee, and then I'm going to start recording again. All right, so there's a lot of numismatic terms here, and eventually I'll use all of them incorrectly in the same program. So this one also mint state 63. Just a reminder that the grading system using numbers sometimes makes you think in a linear fashion, like 3, 2, 3, 4, just kind of in order. The reality is that grading is a lot more like a strike zone. As long as it's within some type of reasonable margin, you're going to get a grade that is going to be consistent, even though each coin looks very different. So you guys can tell me if you liked coin 1 better than coin 2, or the other way around. Now here you see this 1884. We're looking at a coin that has a much nicer look overall. You're seeing a lot fewer marks on the coin just to start. Nice original, of course. I haven't seen very many GSAs that don't look original, by the way. You've got that contrast. Look at all those die marks right there. All the die polish marks that are on that coin. It's really a great looking piece. And then, CAC, the way they strap this across, this is to prevent people from tampering with it or changing in any way. So nicer coin. Fields are really immaculate. Good clean cheek. 65. My only complaint about the CAC strap is that the location blocks the word silver dollar, which is right here. And you see that's a U for uncirculated. So some of them say uncirculated silver dollar, some just say silver dollar. Nice. So these guys currently are trading north of $600 in that holder at the time. There are bids out there still in the marketplace, which means that there are dealers willing to pay a set price for a coin, and that helps dictate the overall market value of a coin when there are dealers that have a set bid price. All right, the 78cc, one of the coins that's always fascinated me, just because the CCs and the look so different. In that first year of issue, the 78 was the first year for the Morgan, and you'll see these CCs have this really tall look to them on the older coins. And then when you get to this first year of issue, that 78, the CC is a very squat, short-looking C, almost like it was punched with the old mint mark from a Charlotte Mint or something. So 78s in general, not just at Carson City, but all around, 78s tend to have a very scattered, scuffed look to them. Once again, you'll see more lines coming across the coin, which are from the planchet being rolled out. There they go. So those are not, scrape marks or damage marks. MS62 on this particular guy felt a little bit like it could have been a 3. Based on those first 2 coins we saw that were 3s. I think that you have a little bit heavier set of hits. Sometimes it just has to do a little bit with just how deep those hits are. This one I'll have to take a quick look and see. It might be a $700 or $800 coin. So you'll often hear me refer to the common GSAs, 82, 3, and 4. Then after that, your 78 and your 80 and your 81 and 85 are quite a bit tougher. And then there's the 79, which is near impossible. Here we go with another 84. Once again, you see a reverse on a coin that is stunning. Lovely, lovely. Big open spaces all around. And on the obverse, we do have a little bit more chatter, I think, on this coin than that 65, but it feels like less than we had on the 63s. This one is still called a 63. I would think this is a skosh nicer than those 2 other 63s that we saw. But the beauty's still in the eye of the beholder, but I like this coin overall better. That very first coin had, I think, the nicest set of fields, though. It did. The fields were a lot nicer on the front and in front of and behind the head. Here's another 84. And this guy is definitely much nicer than the previous coin. And you're starting to see a real gem of a coin right here. Nice big die cracks. So die crack is literally when the die that the planchet is being struck with has cracks in it. The coin that I was pointing out that had almost like a spider web of lines on it, that is die polish. That is when they go back in and polish the die. See, there's the die cracks. When they go back in and polish the die, it leaves the lines. This happens when the die itself is starting to crack up. MS65, another really lovely example. I'm not sure if I like that one better than the first 65. They're both really nice coins. 1880, so a lot of the 1880 models have varieties. There's a whole lot of the 80/7. So if you look at the second 8, especially on this instance, you can see the 7 popping through the window there of the 8, the 2 zeros, the 2 openings in the 8. And you can see the tab of the 7 down below. That's because they reworked the dies. And then there's a remnant of, someone who didn't clean their plate off all the way before they went in for dessert. So there's still something remaining there. Interestingly enough, so this coin actually has the reverse of 79. right? But then it has the smaller CCs to it. Really clean reverse, of course. Obverse, I'm thinking this is a 3. Now they called this a 2. That's interesting. I'd like this coin as a 3. If it said 3 all day, I wouldn't glance another way and be suspicious. I think it's a great looking coin. Really has that frosted obverse look, which I like. You know, maybe those lines in front of Lady Liberty's face is a little bit strong, but I think that's really nice. VAM6, yeah, I would have called that a 3. Comes another 84. Quite a few of these guys, you can see right away, just a little bit more scuff to it on the cheeks. But once again, a great look with the frosted, that frosted nature of these guys here. And this is one of the first coins we've seen where the reverse has some stuff going on it that's a little bit more. You know, you've got a bigger hit here to the side. And as these coins were struck, they were just landing on each other. So this one's a 2. Interestingly, also, there's still a coin that I think if it was graded a 3, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. It's generally big, bright, open fields with some marks to it. I don't find anything super distracting about the marks. So I think a 3 would have been okay by me. Here we go with an 83. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this coin has a little less frost to it, a little bit softer strike. Once again, using a coin that's been, you know, in a bag for a hoard for a century before it was found. And then, you know, you get to see what they look like. Here you've got a real flat ear that is not from wear, that's just from strike. Real clean fields. I'm feeling like this coin could go for, oh, interesting, another 2. Yeah, so this coin, you know, there's other coins, once again, now I'm gonna, this is like Monday morning quarterbacking or reffing or something. So you can see it has like these different types of scuffs to it right here and here. And once again, depending on how you want to view those as somehow more detrimental, because you can only see them at certain angles, I actually find them to be a lot less intrusive than some of the hits on other coins. Like, so this coin to me is at least a 63. And, you know, like I said, the other coins, if that I had said I would grade a grade higher, I wouldn't argue too much about. It's okay, but this one I would tell you is definitely, you know, that's kind of like an argument coin for me. I'd be like, okay, I don't need to argue. But you get the idea. Like, I really think that coin's a 3. So this is where you'll get an argument from me, as I get to go through and look at more coins and then compare them next to each other. But the fun thing about coins and coin grading really is that everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and you get to make your own decisions. Do you like the coin? That's all that really matters at the end of the day. So this coin I think maybe is a little bit nicer, but what's interesting to me about this coin is it's at a 63 plus. You know, I don't know that it's a 1.5, if you will, higher than the other one, because I thought this had, you know, some pretty decently heavy marks across the face and in the field. Now the plastic is scuffy, which will be misleading sometimes, because you really have to see through the scuffies on the plastic and see if the hits are on the coin. All right, we've got, what do we got? Another 3 to go here, and then we will be on our way for the day. Another 83. Once again, how are you going to call that scuff down the face versus the super, super clean fields on this? Like, this has much nicer fields than the last 2 coins. And another lovely reverse. 63. See, like, I think that's a pretty appropriate use of the grading system. You've got fields that look like a 5, and then you've got a pretty heavy hit to it. And I think that one coin that I was objecting to that they called a 2, I think it was this one here. You know, once again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Clearly, I think the coin on the right has better fields to it. But how much does the Tears of a Clown look bother you on the coin on the right? And that'll vary. Everyone's got their own answer to that question, and that's okay. 1884, once again, another nice looking coin, open fields. This one, I wonder if it said uncirculated coin. Usually when the coin had some toning to it, they actually had two different holders that they used, and one just said silver dollar and one said uncirculated silver dollar. And lots of times the coins, if they were toned over, they were discounted. They were put in these other ones that just said silver dollar. MS64, I was actually not even looking at the grade right now. I'm looking to see if I can feel it underneath here. Yeah, I think this one just says silver dollar. See, you can't see the U up here. And that little bit of toning would have gone into the other pile. So pretty coin. I like that 1 of 4. Yeah, it's a good grade. All right, and last but not least, we have one more 84 coming at you. Here's another one where we get to look at a coin that has that really brilliant matte skin finish to it, which highlights all of the contact marks. You know, but I love the frosted look on these. Another lovely, lovely reverse. Yeah, if you like the frosted look, this is a great coin, because at a 63, I think that's okay. You know, I could have seen it going maybe a 63 plus, but I love the frosted look, and I just think that versus like this satin look here, that frosted look always makes me do a double take, because there's just something about the freshness of the coin. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate you being here. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.